Seattle is famous for coffee, the Space Needle, and the music scene that gave the world grunge. But if you wander just a little bit off the main path, you'll discover something maybe a little more interesting. Seattle is a city that rewards curiosity, making it a perfect place to pursue a few side quests. Welcome to Pop Culture Passport, your ultimate guide to quirky and cool destinations across the US. I'm your host, Beth Scalacci, aka the Roman Yeti, here to help you dive into the world of theme parks, uncover film and TV locations, and explore quirky museums, roadside attractions, and legendary venues that capture the heart and soul of this unique country. So grab your pop culture passport and let's discover destinations that resonate with your interest, not just with what's trending on social media. Are you ready? Let's roam! Welcome back. Today we are heading to the Emerald City. No, not that Emerald City. We're heading to Seattle. And Seattle has always been a city that embraces creativity. Part of that comes from the geography. The Pacific Northwest has been historically somewhat removed from what's considered the traditional power centers of the US. And that distance has probably helped foster a culture of that values experimentation, independent thinking, and a certain playfulness. It's why Seattle gave rise to movements like grunge music in the early 1990s, helped shape the modern tech industry, and developed an art scene that often blends humor, history, and imagination. And one place where that creative spirit really comes together is our first stop. The Museum of Pop Culture opened in 2000. And when it first debuted, it had a different name. It was called the Experience Music Project, or EMP. And the museum was founded by Microsoft co founder Paul Allen, who grew up in Seattle and was a passionate music fan, especially when it came to legendary Seattle guitarist Jimi Hendrix. Over the year, Allen had built an enormous personal collection of Hendrix memorabilia. Does this sound familiar? Someone having a personal collection that becomes a museum. God, I love these things. Um, he had guitars, recordings, posters, and artifacts, and he wanted a place where those pieces of music history could be preserved and shared with the public. But instead of building a traditional museum, Allen decided to create something that felt just as creative and unconventional as the music itself. He hired architect Frank Gehry, who is known for designing buildings that look more like sculptures than traditional buildings. So, when working on MoPOP, as they call it, he reportedly bought several electric guitars, sliced them apart, and arranged the pieces on a table so he could study their shapes. The final building looks like a smashed guitar exploded across the skyline. More than 3,000 stainless steel and aluminum panels cover the exterior, and depending on the angle of the sun and the time of day, the building shifts color from gold, blue, silver, and purple. And each of those colors was chosen intentionally. The gold panels evoke Gibson Les Paul guitars, the blue reflects Fender Stratocasters, and the silver section represent guitar strings. Now, inside the museum, it has expanded its focus far beyond music, and today you'll find exhibits celebrating science fiction, fantasy, horror films, video games, and pop culture storytelling. It's a place that celebrates creativity in all its form, and it sort of feels like it should become Romaine Yeti headquarters. Yeah, this place has been on the top of my to visit list for a while. Hopefully one day. One day soon, hopefully. Next up, Seattle's creativity doesn't stop when you leave a museum. Some of the city's most interesting discoveries are actually sort of hiding in plain sight. Now, this one's lurking under a bridge. Yes, the Fremont Troll. You've probably heard of this one. The Fremont Troll lives beneath the Aurora Bridge in Seattle's Fremont neighborhood. Back in the late 1980s, the space under the bridge had become a dumping ground for trash and graffiti, and local residents wanted to reclaim the area. So the Fremont Arts Council launched a public art competition in 1989, and the winning design came from a group of artists led by sculptor Steve Badanes. Now, the troll was completed in 1990 using steel rebar, wire, and more than 2 tons of concrete. It If you look closely at the sculpture's massive hands, you'll notice something maybe unusual because the troll is crushing a real Volkswagen Beetle car. Originally, the car contained a time capsule filled with Elvis memorabilia, but over the years, that capsule got vandalized, and so the car was eventually filled with concrete as well to preserve it. So today, the Troll has become one of Seattle's most beloved roadside attractions and one of the city's most photographed landmarks. Now, another place where Seattle turned something unexpected into art is the Gasworks Park. Now, the park sits along the north shore of Lake Union, and it's one of the most unusual parks in the US. From 1906 to 1956, this location was a massive industrial plant that converted coal and oil into gas, and it was used to power Seattle's streetlights and homes. Now, when natural gas replaced the system, the plant shut down, and the site became a polluted industrial wasteland just filled with rusting machinery. Now, most cities would have demolished the structures completely, but landscape architect Richard Hogg had a different vision. Hogg believed the machinery should remain as part of the landscape, not as ruins, but as industrial sculpture. After years of environmental cleanup, the park opened in 1975. And today, the towering pipes and structures still stand. Children play on the colorful machinery, visitors fly kites on the grassy hill overlooking Lake Union, and the skyline of downtown Seattle stretches across the water in the distance. And if you think that sounds cinematic, well, that's because it is. Gas House Park served as one of the filming locations for the 1999 teen classic 10 Things I Hate About You. In that movie, Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles had a chaotic paintball fight there. Another scene actually from that movie also took place along where the Fremont Troll was. But the most famous filming location from 10 Things I Hate About You isn't actually in Seattle at all, but it's close. It's about 30 minutes, south of Seattle in Tacoma. It's the Stadium High School. And this building has quite the origin story, especially for a high school. So construction began in 1891 on what was supposed to be a luxury railroad hotel overlooking Puget Sound. Wealthy travelers were expected to arrive by train and stay in what would have been the grandest hotels on the West Coast. But before the hotel ever opened, a massive fire destroyed much of the structure. Then the economic panic of 1893 hit, and the project collapsed financially. The burned out shell of the building sat abandoned for years before the city eventually purchased the property and converted it into a public high school. The result is a castle like campus that looks straight out of a movie, and it became out of a movie. So, if you are a fan of 10 Things I Hate About You, this is a definite side quest for you to take while in Seattle. But if we head back into Seattle, the city's playful personality shows up in some very fun and unexpected places, including a store many locals consider the Vatican of weird. Archie McPhee has been delighting Seattle visitors since the early 1980s. This store specializes in unusual novelty items, everything from rubber chickens to yodeling pickles. Yes, you heard that right. To bizarre costume accessories. In 2018, the store added a small attraction in the back, an actual rubber chicken museum. Yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. The museum features both the world's largest rubber chicken and the world's smallest, along with a surprisingly detailed history of rubber chicken comedy. Their tradition actually goes back centuries. Medieval jesters sometimes use inflated animal bladders as slapstick props before rubber versions became popular in vaudeville comedy. There's a piece of trivia for you for trivia night. It's one of those places where you walk in expecting to browse for 5 minutes, but you're probably gonna leave like an hour later wondering what you just saw. But again, some of Seattle's strangest discoveries are even more hidden. In the Madrona neighborhood, there's a pedestrian bridge overlooking a wooded ravine. And inside that ravine is something locals call the Valley of the Gnomes. Now, during the pandemic lockdowns, a neighborhood resident placed a single garden gnome among the trees. Well, you know what happened from there. Then another appeared, and another, and today dozens of gnomes are scattered throughout the greenery, turning the bridge into an unofficial scavenger hunt as visitors try to count how many they can spot. Now, eventually, after a day of exploring trolls and novelty museums, you're probably going to get hungry. And I want to tell you about two food stops that I think are sort of quirky and cool. I have not been, but they would definitely be on my places to check out. One is called the Unicorn, and it's a carnival themed bar and restaurant in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. Walking inside looks like you're stepping into a neon circus. Unicorn heads decorate the wall, vintage carnival museums. There are pinball machines, arcade games, bright lights everywhere you look. And the menu even leans into the theme with carnival inspired comfort food. One of the most popular items is something called unicorn balls, which are deep fried mac and cheese bites served with dipping sauce. So, you mac and cheese bite fans, there's something to check out. It's looks chaotic, colorful, and exactly the kind of place you'd expect to find in Seattle. Another food stop offers a completely different kind of surprise. The Orient Express restaurant is built from 7 vintage rail cars, and one of those rail cars has a particularly unusual history. It was used by FDR during his 1944 presidential campaign. Yes, you can literally eat dinner inside a train car that once carried a sitting president across the country. Seattle is a city where you can visit a museum designed to look like a smashed guitar, see a giant troll crushing a Volkswagen, count hidden gnomes in the ivy, and eat carnival snacks under neon unicorn heads all in the same day. So if you're visiting Seattle and you're done visiting the Space Needle, you can check out one of these fun stops because you never know what you might find. And with that, we add another stamp to our pop culture passport. I hope this episode inspires you to get out and explore all that is quirky and cool, even in your own backyard. Follow, download, and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Tell a friend and leave a review if you like what we're doing. It really does help the show to grow. You can also follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Just search for The Roaming Yeti. Until next time, keep roaming and finding your fun.